The way to dusty death. Out, out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. It was as if Shakespeare knew and foretold the coming of the European Secret League. Because, to paraphrase one of my favorite singers, the Billie Holiday of our time's dead, Mary J. Blige. Monday, you were a friend of mine. Tuesday, we played a game. Wednesday, you went away. And Thursday, things weren't the same. And to be honest, the Super League didn't even last that long. You know, within 12 hours of us getting off the air on Monday, after all of that complaining that we did, poof, like the proverbial puff of smoke, it was gone. Frankly, I think I've taken dumps that lasted longer than the entirety of the Super League. But yet, Jose Mourinho has one record that will never be broken. He's the only Super League coach ever to be fired. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is time again for the Too Many Guys Soccer Show. I'm Mike. I'm joined as always by my faithful companion and producer, and Stead. How you doing this week, Stead?
I'm doing okay. I think there's something that I used to do a lot that I just really miss that I haven't had a chance to really do a whole lot of lately. So hopefully at some point soon I'll be able to revisit that, and that is called sleep. So at the conclusion of this telecast, I'm sure that I will manage to crawl myself to the couch downstairs, because that's where my daughter is currently sleeping, because it's quite hot in her bedroom. And hopefully I'll be able to sleep without waking up with debilitating lower back pain. But that is the grumblings of a parent of young children. And I'm sure those of you who have already gotten beyond that would never want to revisit that again. And those of you who are not there yet, talking to you, Coach Matt, it is coming.
Takes a drink, puts bottle down, says nothing.
Sips wine.
London Sean, how goes it, sir?
Yeah, having had the soul, my football soul, ripped out of me last week, it's going okay. Yeah, I I have to say that if you told me before the start of this season that I'd be witnessing our worst season ever since 1975, I would have laughed in your face. But unfortunately, I'm seeing it being played out in front of me. And of course, this is probably our biggest week. Well, this week and next week will be our biggest weeks of the season. So, yeah, but apart from that, we're getting lots of sunshine, and the world goes back to normal-ish around the 15th of May. So we've got a couple of weeks to wait, and we can go out and start having beers inside pubs rather than in the beer garden. And a host of other things that hopefully will bring us back to a semblance of normality.
You know, now that it's time, here, you know, now that it's time, now that we're allowed to have beers inside, it's just in time for the weather to get so hot that you want to have them outside.
Go outside again. That's right.
But the problem that we have facing us is we are only maybe about 4 weeks from the cicadas.
Yeah, that is true. In fact, I've heard if you have a dog, you got to be very mindful of where they are at all times, because it is the equivalent of a backyard full of chicken McNuggets. So please be mindful of your pets when the cicadas come. Yes, absolutely. In fact, do you guys remember the Planet Earth, the first Planet Earth documentary that came out that was narrated by Sir David Attenborough? His little section on the cicadas that come out in this part of the world is actually quite fascinating. If you have a chance, you want to look that up if you're bored one day. I believe it's on Netflix, but it's actually very, very good.
So I'm taking bets, Stead, on how many students at school are going to end up with a mouthful of cicada. because students are eating outdoors. They're required to eat outdoors right now. I'm sure at your school they
How do
are.
you
as
spell
they
it?
are.
CICADAS.
Yes.
Sorry.
Nasty looking bugger that exists in between Virginia and like
I put it in the chat.
Insect. And they're pronounced what?
cicadas.
Cicada.
Yeah, or cicada, whichever.
Uh,
Tomato.
No, cicadas.
Oh, we don't get any of those over here.
No, it's
Be thankful.
actually, yeah, they're because even
They're
living
really
in
only-
the South, they're only in this kind of mid-Atlantic
kind of
area.
mid-Atlantic
That's about
area.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. From Virginia up to like New York
Yeah.
is the only
Right.
place that has the soil. And then they're particularly bad right here. And then they're particularly bad once every 17 years. They burrow underground and it takes them 17 years to mature. And then they emerge for a month, shed their skins, mate like crazy, and then die. And you
Mhm.
have like,
Okay.
it looks like the ground is covered with just the shells and carcasses of
Mhm.
dead bugs.
And they'll be
Like snow.
they'll be all over your car. They'll stain up all the concrete. That you're gonna run into a bunch of them as you're driving down the road. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. In fact, this is the funny part. Not the funny part is, Mike, I'm sure you remember the sound, the cicada sound. They all chirp, but because there's so many of them, it sounds like a constant like hum of this chirpy noise that's and it goes for a month. Like it's I'm not even gonna try and recreate the sound, but it goes for about a month. You're gonna hear this background noise. In fact, I'll record it one night and I'll send it to you.
I'm used to it. We get them all. We don't get them like you guys get them down here. They're almost like a regular summer occurrence up in New Jersey and Philadelphia. But you can definitely, it's summer. The weather's gotten warm when the cicadas come, and we have that to look forward to. So before we get started ruminating about the European Super League, Sean, I was thinking about you, and I texted you early my time on Sunday, because I did watch one of the great athletic feats that I think I've ever seen in sports. Dad's laughing because he knows this is coming from the world of cricket, and it is. But Ravindra Jadeja, who's the Indian all-rounder, 37 runs off of 6 pitches, 4 outs, and a run out. One of the single great all-around athletic performances I've seen. So before we get started, I want to ask you instead, Sean, what is one of the single great athletic accomplishment, one-man athletic game-changing accomplishments that you can remember seeing? Watching live.
I can answer that.
Hmm.
I think I just want to get the Olympics right, but it would have been Carl Lewis in Los Angeles.
84.
84.
Where he destroyed, did he not?
Mhm.
World record,
Everything.
100, 200,
Mhm.
long jump. Can't even remember what else. How he didn't enter the decathlon, I don't know, but that was pretty amazing.
Mhm.
Carl Lewis is from Willingboro, New Jersey, which is where my mother and her family used to live. They actually grew up with the Lewises.
I actually have a signed relay baton. Carl Lewis signed relay baton.
It's funny though, when you talk about the greats of Olympic athletes, especially track and field, lately his name has kind of fallen out of favor almost.
Yeah.
Yes, and this is my theory. Why? Did you see the 979 30 for 30?
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now that was a kind of a compilation of things that a lot of people already knew. But Sean, if you haven't seen it, you should.
No, I haven't.
It's an ESPN documentary. But the only part that really sticks out in my mind is that everyone from that era, they have the final in Korea in '88, and they pan across all the finalists. And there's one guy, his name's leaving me, but he set the world record of 993 and 100 meters in the mid '80s. His name is leaving me. And
Ben someone.
No, Ben
No,
Johnson.
not Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson, he ran the
He ran
979.
979.
So this 993 was a world record for about not very long, and it was surpassed. And they pan across every one of the finalists. every one of these finalists is big as a house. Every one of them, they're just massive. And then they pan across him, guy's built like me. He's quite slender. And he says, all things being equal, it's obvious that I was the best. And he's right. And then he ended up finishing I think he finished fourth, and there was one Brazilian runner who finished last. And they look half the size of the other finalists. The level of juice that was running through those guys, they looked like the 2016 Russian Olympic team that didn't get to compete. I mean, I think Carl Lewis and the fact that he did not do much to endear himself to the, he did a lot for bringing the sport to a professional level, but I think that because of all the scandals with performance enhancing drugs, and specifically the ones that they want you to pay attention to, it's going to be hard for him to break out of that mold. I don't think he's going to really get a lot of love until he gets much older.
The funny thing is, it's not that he's getting any hate. It's just he has kind of faded into the background very quietly. And, that may be the best thing for him. Like, nobody's really thinking about him anymore, because it seems like you go from Jesse Owens to Usain Bolt and forget about everything that happened in between.
Yeah.
And maybe that's for the best. Maybe that's for the best.
I was thinking track and field for this one thing too. And of course it's easy to say Usain Bolt, but I hate to pick him because I don't really like him, but track and field, but you have to give Mo Farah his respect as a racer, just as a racer. I mean, I never set a world record, but to win back-to-back 5 and 10,000 meters in the World Championships and the Olympics on multiple occasions is pretty impressive. And the way he was able to get the other runners to run his race so he could win is quite impressive, because you look at the times where he was winning, it's nothing comparable to what you see from the great runners, especially from Kenya, Ethiopia, and North Africa. But still, the guy, you can't deny the fact that he wins. But I think if you're asking me about one particular athlete, I mean, I'm going to stick with running because that's kind of one thing everyone does. I got to go with Eliud Kipchoge and the marathons that he's been able to do, and just the fact that how unbeatable he's been, that you've never seen a guy who finishes third or fourth in a marathon with a sub 204 marathon, and they're wondering if he's still any good. That's the standard that he set for himself. So if you're curious at all, you watch that sub 2 hour documentary. It's on YouTube. It's very, very good. And even the one that he didn't break when he ran the 2 hours and 25 seconds, that's a really good documentary as well.
When you were on track and field, I immediately went to, and his record has been broken since, but I remember watching Aston Eaton in the decathlon at the last couple Olympics, and just how dominant he was.
Absolutely.
And how he was basically almost Olympic caliber in 10 different events where he could have qualified for those events.
You figure if he had focused on one, you're looking at a guy who probably could have qualified in the 400 and qualified if he focused on the 800 and maybe even the 15, if he was just like slimmed down a little bit and just kind of kept, you never know with a guy like that. And definitely pole vault.
I always go to TJ Oshie in the Russia game in the group stages of the Winter Games. I'm going to guess this was 2012 when he just went mano a mano with the Russian goalkeeper in the shootout.
I think it was 20. I think it was 2010.
No, it was 12. It was 12.
Is that the off year?
It had to be 12.
Because it's got to be the off year of the Olympics. That's right.
It was 12. And he just went mano a mano. Of course, Michael Jordan. But it's hard to figure out which game you want to think of with Michael Jordan. Like, which game-changing one time was it where Michael Jordan, it sticks the games at the Garden when he scored 60 or the 6 3-pointers against the Portland Trailblazers.
But hold on, I'm gonna throw one more track guy out there. It's one of the events that doesn't get a lot of attention is the triple jump. But Jonathan Edwards jumping 18 meters on multiple occasions and setting that world record back, and that still hasn't been broken. He's got one of the longest standing world records in the world right now from an athlete that clearly wasn't an East German 400-meter runner who ran 47.6, which is damn impossible for most females to do. So yeah, I mean, you got to throw him in there for as something that's like a really, really impressive feat. And he did it with such ease. And he's one of the slowest guys who's on the runway. So, we
Well,
could go.
and I
We could
can't
talk about this for
claim,
4 hours though.
I can't claim to have seen that one because I never saw it. Just like, I mean, clearly when you could talk about Edwin Moses or Jesse Owens at the Big Ten championships,
Yeah.
but guess what? I wasn't around when that happened.
Yeah. I actually saw this meet, the Jonathan Edwards meet. I saw this meet. This was the first time it was like a Diamond League kind of thing. That's one of the random Saturday afternoons where you're not doing anything, and I was like, oh, track meet, and I was like, oh, I'm seeing something that I'm probably got really lucky to be able to stumble across. Yeah.
I think the coolest thing that I ever got to see was Roy Halladay pitch a no-hitter in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But that's not.
I saw that
Yeah.
too.
I guess you could say that was the coolest, the best individual. I guess that would have to be up there in the playoffs to pitch a no-hitter.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of amazing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
mm-hmm.
Well,
and I'm sorry, Ronaldinho standing ovation at Real Madrid. That was amazing.
The what? Sorry, Stan?
I said Ronaldinho's standing ovation at the Bernabeu. Yeah.
Again, I didn't see that.
Didn't see it either. Didn't see it either. But I was like, I just want to say it.
But it's one of those things like, when you watch something and you're like, holy cow, what am I watching? And, that was just amazing because it was like one of the, to both do it on both the offensive and defensive side of football, like the ball like Jadeja did, it really shows you how good a game he was having. Had it been in the World Cup or something.
I can't say I've experienced a moment like that watching our show's football, like world football. I can't say I can recall a game that I've seen where I was like, this is some next level stuff going on here. I can't recall.
I will go back to that Spain game that you and I watched together in the World Cup when Ronaldo scored the hat trick, and he stepped up with the time running out against Spain. And
you said
everybody knew that ball was going in the back of the net, and he proceeded to step up and just nail it. Right,
yeah, Sean, we were in a room of about 20 people, and Mike and I, it was hot, and we had just sort of started hanging out, and we're all watching the game and the free kick, and Mike goes, he's going to score here, right? And nobody gave Mike a look like really. Everyone was like, yeah, I know, he's probably he's gonna score, and then he scored, and everybody still cheered, but everyone knew, and Mike was just like, I think he's gonna score, and everyone was like, yeah, he's gonna score.
And the best part about that was a Friday, and then the next day was the Argentina game. And the day after, Ronaldo puts on one of those classic Ronaldo performances where you just remember watching it because he did something that was spectacular. Like, it was a nice free kick. It was something that he has made look routine over the course of his career, but it was from a far ways out in a pressure situation, albeit the first game of the World Cup in the group stages, but still, it's the difference in between a draw and a loss. And he steps up and knocks it right into that postage stamp where he's going to put it, with the bend that no keeper can keep out, right around the wall, just like Ronaldo can do. Only Ronaldo can do it. And the next day was Argentina, and Messi misses a penalty kick.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And again, it was just another stark reminder of the difference in between the two when it gets to that particular level, right? Just that particular level, that Ronaldo has those moments that you can point to on the international stage, playing with a team that is not nearly as talented as some of the Argentinian teams that Messi has played with, but that he has those moments and enough of them that you can keep going back and back and back, and you almost expect him to perform at that level, like you would Zidane for France in the World Cup in 2006. when he just basically carried the French team to the finals by sheer force of will. That Messi doesn't really have one of those moments in international football, that you can remember seeing. I can't say I've seen every Messi game in an international tournament, but I just can't remember that moment that stands out to me as, okay, yeah. Because all the big games that I've watched Messi in, or too many of the big games that I've watched Messi in, he's just kind of like been a little overshadowed.
I have to agree.
And I think that's going to be one of, he will always go down as the one of the greatest of all time. It's the quintessential Magic versus Bird argument. Choose your poison. Which one did you like better? Which one did you think was better, Bird or Ronaldo? Or Bird or Magic, Ronaldo or Messi, right? They are the two iconic players of this generation. Now all we need is a Michael Jordan to follow him up. Will it be Erling Brute Haaland or Kylian Mbappe? My money's on Mbappe, although Haaland is a physical specimen. And right on the right side team, he could be unstoppable.
Absolutely.
So I know the guys are going to be joining us.
Yep, we got Los and Rob are ready to. We're all ready to pitch you, Sean. So
we promised you, Sean.
How does this game work?
Well, as Stead brings them in, another great MLS season has started, and as our resident Brit, the one that actually lives in England, we felt like to be part of this Too Many Guys soccer community, we needed to get you an MLS team. So
I'm getting off my English team already, so that's fine. I'm up for an MLS team.
So we're each going to pitch a team or two, kind of like speed dating, and we'll let you ask questions, and then we'll see at the end of the show if there was a team that we came up with that you liked and you might start following for the rest of the MLS season. Now, we understand this is MLS. In order to sell these, we may have to put a fair amount of lipstick on this pig, but it is our domestic league. We support it, and it's getting better. It's getting better each and every year. It gets a little bit better.
MLS is difficult to watch, but it stands for must love soccer if you plan on watching this. So,
and the games are a lot of fun to attend in person. Quite a bit cheaper than your average.
Blast in person.
Yeah, quite a bit cheaper than your average.
Well, not for me, because I've got the flights to consider as well.
Yes, if you considered flights, but once you get there, they're quite a bit cheaper, and the atmosphere is generally pretty good, right?
Well, that's part of my criteria. So I've got a list of questions that I will be asking as a result of any of these 20 set. Do I have to go east or west?
You're not getting.
Split?
And we're not even going to pitch all 23,979 teams, right?
Yes, because and there's more that are coming in the next few years.
I believe there are 27 teams.
Okay.
There are 27 teams currently. We each have one. We each have identified the team that we're going to pick. In some cases, like Rob, they're the team that you root for, or Mike.
You're pitching your own teams.
Cases,
I'm not.
Matt's
got our team.
Matt and Mike has mine. Despite the fact that my background pretty much, aside from the Montreal Impact jersey back there, which that's a long story.
I'm rocking my, I still got,
Yeah, I got my throwback Bethlehem Philadelphia Union jersey on. So. We're going to pitch you as many teams as we can come up with. Most of us have one, except for Carlos. Carlos, the Spurs fan, has to be different, and he said he wanted to do two.
Well, I just figured there's a bunch of teams and only a few of us. I thought I'd take two.
I got you, Los. I'm gonna give him two as well.
So here are the ground rules for this round. You each have 2 minutes to pitch your team.
I don't need 2 minutes. Can I pass on the two to someone else?
Well, much like
I don't need 2 minutes.
much like the Supreme Court, you may reserve part of your time for other things. But I said a maximum of 2 minutes, and then Sean may ask some questions, and then you'll have another minute to do closing arguments.
I've got the stopwatch on, by the way. So
Okay.
Yes. I don't think in most cases it's even going to take 2 minutes. It's like Bernie Mac said, 3 minutes. That's one round of a heavyweight fight. That's all you should need. I don't think it's going to take that long. All right, so we figured we would do this, and this will double as our MLS preview, because if there's one thing that we know about the MLS, you know it is best to preview the season about 4 or 5 weeks into the season, because that's the only time that you can start to figure out what is actually going on with the season. So, Mikey, since you've got the team dearest to my heart, I'm going to let you start with this one.
All right, 2 minutes. Here we go. I mean, what do you want to say about a team that was born out of nothing? This team has a fan base that existed before the team and used to show up at other teams' games and taunt them for not winning titles, saying, "We have as many titles as you." Exceptional fan base. We have a fan supporter group known as the Sons of Ben, referring to Ben Franklin, and they will light up your Saturday afternoon. Our tailgates are one of a kind in the MLS. It's one of the few stadia in the country where you're going to have a really good time before, during, and after the game.
okay.
On the field, last year we won the Supporter Shield, which in England is the functional equivalent of winning the league, but here it's kind of the equivalent of winning the FA Cup. And so then we did terrible in the playoffs. So you know what it's like to have a terrible league season and then win the FA Cup. So I mean, we're gelling. We're in line with what you're used to. We threw away points on Saturday. You're used to that too. But they have a model of building youth and selling them off to Europe. And while you might be like, well, don't I want to keep those guys? No, but here's the thing. For 2 or 3 years, you're getting previews of the best American talent that you're going to see in Europe. Last year it worked, won the league. And on top of that, Mikey, I'm going to need your help for this. We have the absolute best goal song in the history of the world. Here we go. Do 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 do.
I'm not sure, but I think that sounds like doo-doo.
It does.
Oh,
Okay.
it is Doop. DOOP. Hashtag Doop for your social
Doop.
media.
2 minutes.
All right,
Okay.
Sean, the floor is open for you to ask
Okay.
questions.
Well, the chant doesn't really compete with the Iceland chant for a start, does it? It doesn't really come anywhere fucking close. So I'm not quite sure about the chant. You didn't actually mention who the team is, Mike. Right? That's the one problem that I have.
Exactly.
The logo plays quite a big part in my decision-making process. So which team is it?
This is the Philadelphia Union.
I thought it might be. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so 5 questions for you in 2 minutes.
All right.
The first one I said, is the logo worthy? And looking at the logo, it's sort of in there really. Okay, I'll you passed on that one.
Well, so let me the
You're not
coil-
allowed to.
Oh, I thought it was.
Where
That-
does
that
the
is
snake
question.
come from? Where does
There you
the
go.
snake come from? What's the snake on the logo?
The coiled snake is actually Ben Franklin. When we were breaking away from the UK,
I mean,
had a snake emblem on the flag that he made. So
did it?
it comes from that.
Okay. So
Don't tread on
can
me.
you tell me? Can you name me at least 3 legends that have worn the shirt through the history?
Wow, legends. I mean, I would say, you've got our current goalkeeper, Andre Blake is probably the best keeper in the league, has been for a while.
Never
but
heard
do-
of him.
You
Yeah,
know,
go on.
by the way, Legends, the team has only existed for about 10 years. So
Yeah. Well, it could be your own legends. You know, it doesn't have
Um,
to, I don't mean legends in terms of world football. I mean, you know, you may
Right.
have some good stories to tell about some of the players. You know, maybe one of them started shagging all the other players' wives, for example. I mean, that's something that you might be familiar with. I don't know.
I mean, I wish.
Christian Eriksen's around.
Should be noted too that Mike and I were
John Harkes.
we were season ticket holders, and I don't know that we ever saw them win a game together.
Okay.
We were there, so their success is recent. Alejandro Bedoya, one of the best players now. Mike, throw me a third one.
Sebastian Latou, who scored
Oh,
the first goal,
yeah.
and it is the reason why I accidentally once ended up in a French documentary.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Mhm.
Was
Yeah.
that good? Was that a success?
Well, yeah, he was on my first date with my ex-girlfriend, and I ended up in a French documentary with him. And the nicest guy on the Facebook planet, because every time I would see him, he would remember that day.
Okay. Very good. So I'm going to ask all of you this. So just be ready for your answer. What's the quality of the beer and hot dogs at the stadium? You were just saying what a night. Yeah. So
The quality of the beer is superb.
is it?
The Philadelphia Union are sponsored by somewhat local brewery Dogfish Head. They are my favorite beers in the world.
Yeah.
Great IPA.
Dogfish Head 60-minute IPA is
90
an
is
example
sublime.
of the genre,
And
and
they're
the 90 is a
seasonal.
double IPA that will lead
beautiful.
you both.
And their seasonal pumpkin ale is actually
And
one of the
what
few pumpkin
percentage
ales that I
is
have
the-
not gotten sick of.
What percentage is Dogfish Head?
Mhm.
Dogfish Head, yes.
Yeah. What percentage are we talking? Is it like
So
a
the
look at that.
6 to
60-minute
9.
IPA is 6.
Yeah.
90-minute IPA is 9. They specialize in higher percentage IPAs,
Mhm.
which really gets those Sons of Ben going.
They got some good
They
restaurants.
also have
around here, too.
yards. They also have yards
That's
brewing
10
there
out,
too.
that's 10 out of 10 for that. And then
And
this
Philly
is
is
obviously
known,
also
Sean,
gonna be-
for it.
you
Philly is known for its hot Italian sausages. That's like one of the
Is it?
sandwiches
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
So you can't go wrong with an Italian sausage in Philly.
So the last question, and it will be for all of you, and I will deduct points if you can't name the number. Can you name me 3 celebrity fans of your team? And
I can.
Well,
You have to name me three.
Kevin Durant is a part owner of the team.
who?
Kevin Durant, he's a very famous NBA player.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah.
Even though he's from DC.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Joe
well,
Biden.
See, that's just gonna prove my case for later on when you're arguing for United.
Joe Biden.
Joe
I've heard of
Biden.
him. I've heard of him.
And
Yep.
Hugh Jackman.
Ben Franklin.
And Hugh Jackman.
Franklin hadn't died over
Hugh
200 years ago. I
Jackman,
think.
does
Yes.
he own part of the team?
He doesn't own part of the team, but he is a fan.
Okay. Great.
We
Thank
got the
you very
president.
much.
I had to back you up a little bit there, Mike. I couldn't let you
Good
Yeah,
fail.
pitch, Mike. Good pitch.
All
So-
right.
My closing argument would be this:
Yes.
my favorite fan chant of ours is the classic "No one likes us, no one likes us, no one likes us, we don't care. We're from Philly, fucking Philly. No one likes us, we don't care."
It's very Millwall.
It is.
It
That's
is
where we
Millwall,
stole
we
it
ripped
from.
it off, but
And they didn't like it. And we didn't care.
yeah.
That's great. So I get a song for each team as well. I'm looking forward to this. Excellent.
All right. So that's the Mike Shoestack with the Philadelphia pitch for the Philadelphia Union. All right. I'm going to turn things over to the other side of my screen, and Mr. Carlos Rosali, and one of the teams that I guess you're going to go Orlando City because that's the shirt that you're wearing right now.
Well, I'll go with Orlando City only because this is the only shirt that I have of the 2 teams that I picked to follow. for this season. I don't have an Inter Miami shirt yet. I haven't decided if I want the black or the pink, but it's one with flamingos or not. I don't know. But I had this shirt for a while. I actually picked this up at Walmart for like $7, so it was a good deal. So real quick, Orlando City, and it's going to be very quick. They actually did things right. They, if you want to think of how they got into MLS, they built a following in Orlando and actually sold 20,000 season tickets, and then occupied the Citrus Bowl, which is what they use for the World Cup back in '94. It was World Cup venue back in '94, and sold it out on the very first match that they played in MLS. I was there. Can't tell you about the dogs because I don't buy stadium hot dogs because I know better. I know it's in hot dogs. I'm not eating it. But the beer is good, and you got a wide variety, and craft beer is all throughout Florida. But they starting out a little bit on the slow side. I mean, 2 draws is 2 points, and they're, I think, 8th in the table out of 14 teams in their conference. So they're not far out of first because I think first place is 4 points. So, I mean, it's early. But they are sluggish since they lost their midfielder, Pato. Alexander Pato was their predominant midfielder player. He's very good, very solid. Got hurt in the 80th minute of the first match. And so they were kind of like a shadow of the team that they could be with him commanding the midfield. But they did get a cheeky goal from Nani in the last match to tie it up and make it 1-1. He was like back to goal, back heel, and it goes right past the keeper. It was actually something, really interesting to see. But then you're like, okay, but we need more than just that if you want to be competitive. Now that's Orlando City. Real quick, Inter Miami. I think this team has a lot of New York Cosmos type quality in the names, in the branding, and who's involved with the team. Beckham is a part owner. Phil Neville is the coach. And you got the Higuain brothers that are playing out on the field. So now that said, they're very lackluster. They're very sluggish. They're very, I don't know how else to put it. Higuain just looked like the shell of the man he used to be in Europe. So that's Gonzalo, by the way, not his brother. Was it Federico? I think is his name. But Gonzalo just looks like he ate too many cakes down in Miami Beach, and it's just looking a little sluggish. I think I look slimmer than he does, to be honest. I think I do. But of course, I lack the skill, and of course, he has 2 better knees than I do. But if you were looking for a team that has a star quality, I think you would want to watch Inter Miami because they are going to be attracting the star quality sort of thing. Does anybody have LA Galaxy?
Not yet.
Does anyone have LA? Not yet. Just real quick about LA Galaxy. Chicharito plays for them, and he's on fire. He's on fire right now. You watch him. He's starting out good. If you score 10 goals in MLS, you're doing good. He's on his way. I think he's got like 2 already, and it's only been 2 matches. So he's looking good. So anyway, that's that. And I haven't been to the Miami stadium, so I couldn't tell you about the dogs or the beer. And I haven't been to the LA stadium either. So
okay.
And your questions to me.
So out
about
of
either
those
team?
3 teams, what's your favorite?
Well, I'm going to go with the home team. At least for me, the home team, Orlando City.
Okay.
A little background. I don't mean to take a little extra time, but I actually boycotted MLS in 2001 because they got rid of the Tampa Bay Mutiny and they got rid of the Miami Fusion. No teams in Florida. I said, oh, really? I'm done with this. And I quit watching in 2001. and they
Mhm.
stayed out for about 10 years. In 2011, 2010, they came back in with Orlando City. I said, oh, okay, I will start watching again. And I did. I started
So
watching again.
why
So-
did
and
they? We remember the Tampa Bay from Rodney Marsh days. Did Rodney Marsh?
that's
not
Tampa
come
Bay
from?
Rowdies. That's Tampa Bay Rowdies, a different
Oh,
franchise.
so different team. Is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So why did they take out the? Why did they take out the teams? What was the?
Well, that's
Tampa
they
Bay
said
Mutiny
financial. They
folded.
couldn't find an owner locally to go ahead and support the club, and the league
Oh.
didn't want to support the club, and so they just went in and folded it. That in Miami, both at the same time. They did it. And this is kind of strikes me odd because the Tampa Bay Mutiny in the very first season had the best record of any team of the season. If you went with traditional standings like they do in Europe, they would have won the league because they had the best record for the entire season. But we don't do that in the US. We have playoffs, right? Playoffs.
Oh, you get
That's what we
a supporter shield for that.
well, a lot of good it did us. We're gone, right? Tampa Bay, the mutiny's gone. They mutinized. See ya.
So where does the lion come from on the logo?
Oh, the Lions. Yeah, that's the nickname of the team. The Orlando City Soccer Club. They're the Lions.
Okay. So yeah, so we're the Gunners because we emanated from a weapons factory originally. Did you emanate from a zoo? What?
I think it's just a regal sort of, king of the beasts sort of thing. That's
Okay.
what I think it is. Yeah.
Okay. So you was Orlando the one that you can talk for the beer, but you don't talk hot dogs? Is that right? So
Yeah, I don't do
it's
hot
good,
dogs.
good
man.
beer at Orlando. Okay. So can you name me 3 celebrity fans of Orlando?
Well, I guess Mickey Mouse. I guess by default, his girlfriend Minnie.
Okay.
And then of course me, because I'm on the Too Many Guys podcast. I'm a celeb there, so
Of course,
So just-
of course you are.
yeah.
Okay. And what have you won?
Orlando City hasn't won anything. They actually came close last year. They went to the semifinals and they lost in the semifinals. They could have. They were on a good roll last year. They had a good season and hoping for more. But in the first 2 games, all they got a couple draws, a 0-0 and 1-1, and so
Okay.
nothing to show
Okay.
for it yet.
Okay. And is there anything that aligns Tottenham with Orlando City?
No, I think Tottenham is aligned with San Jose, aren't they? I think
Oh, is
they are.
it?
Yeah, yeah. San
We're not
Jose's on the
putting
other.
those today,
It's on the
okay?
it's on the other coast.
On the
So
other coast. Fine.
yeah, that's like a 4-hour flight. Where this is like an hour and a half drive. Well, no, it's I-4. It's about 2 or 3 hours drive. It should really
Okay.
only be an hour and a half, but it's about 2 or 3 hours.
And would you say that your match days are sunnier than the Philadelphia match days?
Oh,
You get
absolutely.
better
We're
weather
Florida.
at your games.
We have better weather. Yeah, at least in the wintertime we do, but we don't. The season's played in the summer though, so
Okay,
they probably
so-
have cooler nights than we do. We got a lot of muggy nights. Like it'll be 88 degrees at night, and you'll feel the mugginess.
Okay. But are the games played at night or are they played during the day?
At night
Or
mostly.
both?
Sometimes the weekends, the weekend games, Sunday or Saturday, they could have a day game, but most of the time they play at night.
Okay.
They got to in
And,
Florida.
do they normally play with short sleeve or long sleeve shirts?
Well, probably short sleeve because
Short
it's
sleeve,
the only person
short
I knew who would wear long sleeve when it was really hot was David Beckham. So
Okay.
I thought
Well,
that was
I
nutty,
can't have
but hey.
any team that has got anything to do with David Beckham. So thank you for pitching 3.
Well, that would be Inter Miami. They would
I know.
they would
Inter
be
Miami, they're definitely
Yeah.
out. What was
Yeah.
the third one that you picked? The other one that you mentioned?
Oh, the other one, Los Angeles Galaxy. Yeah, they're hot. They're 2 wins
Yeah.
and so 6 points. They're top of the table,
Okay. Okay.
They were- they
but
and
were,
they're in their
Spurs-
conference.
But Spurs were top of the
Landon
table in about
Donovan and-
November as well, weren't they? So
Mhm.
we know.
Oh,
what
actually
happens from there.
December, but thanks for
December.
remembering. Appreciate it.
December. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. I've already got an idea where I'm at after 2 pitches. So come on, bring it on. Who's next?
Stead, you're up.
Okay. Like Los, I don't need 2 minutes. But this is we're gonna throw Toronto.
Trust me, he used 2 minutes. He used 2 minutes.
We're gonna throw Toronto FC at you.
Toronto?
FC. Toronto. Yeah.
I had
who's
3
the other one?
teams.
Well, see the other one I'm gonna let Matt. The other one I was gonna throw at you was also. Let me see what's the page I have open. Okay, yes, because I figured you might be interested in some sort of West Coast team. I was gonna throw at you either Seattle or Portland because they're kind of the same thing. So I figured you could pick one of those 2 clubs, or you could pick Toronto. But first with Toronto, I chose Toronto because the best thing about Toronto is the fact that they play in another particular league championship called the Canadian Cup, and it's only really competed with through about 3 or 4 teams. And Toronto has won this championship, I want to say 7 times. So the Canadian Championship is one of those, it's almost like the Man City Cup, but it's even easier for this club to win in particular, as it hasn't been around very long and it's only competed with through very few teams that are actually at the professional level in Canada. So you're almost guaranteed to get some sort of trophy throughout the year. Also, they have an excellent mascot, and their mascot is called Bitchy the Hawk, which is a Harris hawk employed by the field, and it's a falcon, and it's used to ward off seagulls. But it has become quite a symbol of the game time experience, and so they all look for her at the start of and during matches. So they also have they're one of the more better supported teams, where they average over 20,000 fans a year throughout their history. So needless to say that if you want a club that has, from what is being reported as a good game day experience, they're also in Toronto. So when you consider the fact that MLS primarily takes place over the summer, it is a club where it's probably much more comfortable to watch games outside. Having gone to several games here in the swampy Mid-Atlantic in the middle of July, I can tell you that I'd probably much rather be in Toronto than to be around here at that time. So those are just a few of the reasons that Toronto FC may be a viable choice. They've also had some pretty strong players that have come to play for them over the years. Mainly speaking of Sebastian Giovinco, who played at Juventus, who I believe Juventus said, because you're under 5'5", we can't field you on our squad. But he actually was quite successful over here in MLS, and especially playing for Toronto, and led it to a championship. So those are a few reasons why Toronto would be not a bad club to base your MLS interests in. Though they're not off to the best start this year. It's, as we all know, it's very early, and as we also all know, MLS is impossible to predict. So that's Toronto FC for you, if you have any interest in that squad.
I definitely like the logo, and it sounds a little bit like they play tonight, the Italian team. Oh God, it'll come back to me. Who? Torino. Thank you, Torino.
Yes.
Sounds a little bit like Torino. It's got a bit of an Italian feel to the logo.
Yes.
I think of Toronto. I think of sort of icy. What about the beer?
Well,
is the beer any good there?
I have no idea, but I imagine because it's north of the border and the fact that they have much lax alcohol laws as opposed to the United States, I would imagine that the beverage experience there is going to be quite jovial, especially when you consider the fact also that their legal age to consume is 2 years younger than the United States.
Is it?
And the fact that
have they legalized cannabis in Toronto?
Has. Canada has.
Canada has, yeah.
Canada has.
Yeah. And also, but judging by the fact that they're one of the best supported teams in the MLS, you would expect that would be something that is definitely popular there. So I'm sure they have Molson Golden or Molson Canadian there, which is a very, very easy drinkable beer to have, if you ask me.
Okay. So you mentioned they've won lots of championships.
Well, they've won Canadian championships.
Canadian championships. So are they sort of like the Liverpool of the MLS then?
No, I would say they are like the team.
Oh, or the Man U. Sorry, Liverpool.
I would say that they are the team that has happened to. If you can think of a team that's won a single league championship, but often wins promotion back after they get relegated. I would say that's probably where Toronto FC is as
So
a
like
squad.
Swansea, Cardiff City.
Yeah, yeah.
They've never won a championship.
Oh, well.
But I'm saying, but have they won? Have they won?
I'm just thinking of a promotion side.
Yeah, but
Okay.
but think of it
Yeah,
this way.
guys.
Think of it this way.
Aston Villa maybe would be a good.
It could be a go,
Yeah.
but you could
Yeah.
equate it a little bit to Swansea and Cardiff, as those are the only two teams in Wales that actually can compete with any team in England. Toronto FC is one of
And
the very
Wrexham.
few teams
Don't
in
forget
Canada that can
Wrexham.
compete down over here in the United States. So
Okay. Yeah, that sort of puts me off a little bit.
Mhm.
Okay, I know who's in the lead at the minute.
but they're
Who's your second team?
okay. Well, now you can pick.
Why, you want to save that for the next round?
I
We
could
still
say
got
for
to
the
do
next
this.
round.
We still got to go around again. We got
That's
3
true.
other people.
Yeah.
So we'll save the other team and let Rob get in here.
Mhm.
Hello,
Hello.
good evening. All right, so as you can clearly see, I support the New York Red Bulls. They're my hometown team. I was born, raised, and educated in the city of Newark. The Red Bulls are located right across the river in Harrison, New Jersey, and from Newark's Ironbound section, which is home of some amazing Portuguese and Brazilian food. If you like rodizio, it's a short walk away from the Red Bull Arena, which is 11 years old, has a capacity of 25,000 fans that can fit in there. So it's pretty new. It's a soccer specific stadium as well. The club is one of the original 10, founded in the mid 90s when MLS was founded. Okay. They were originally known as the New York Metro Stars, New York, New Jersey Metro Stars, sorry. And then when the Red Bull organization came by and bought the team, they rebranded it as the New York Red Bulls. In addition to that, it is the first MLS club to have a cost-free academy, and it's shown by all the various academy players that have gone through the Red Bull system. One of the most famous being Tyler Adams, Tim Weah, and Matt Miazga. So Tim Weah is over in Lille, I believe. Tyler Adams is over at RB Leipzig, and Matt Miazga, I forget where he's somewhere in Belgium, I believe, right? But he was signed by Chelsea. So the Red Bull system has produced amazing players. In addition to that, the current roster has about 5 players from the academy or their reserve team. So there is a clear path for players to go through the system, and then they're shipped off, once they get better, either to a Leipzig, to a Salzburg, or to a Salzburg for the most part. Okay, there's multiple supporter groups, but the 2 most famous ones are Empire Supporters Club and the Viking Army. Viking Army was started primarily when the Red Bulls were signing a lot of players from that region. So Scandinavian region as well. There's a big rivalry with New York City FC, which is owned by the Man City Group, which and they have very, very questionable fans, and I'll leave it there to do your own research. As far as food goes, like I said, the Portuguese and Brazilian food is across the river, short walk away. But if you don't want to go anywhere, got chicken and waffles. There's smoked wings, they're delicious. And recently there has been a new sponsorship with Heineken. So Heineken's all over the place as well. And one of my favorites, Premio sausages from Jersey, started by Napoli family. Amazing stuff. Mwah, delish. And there you go. That's all. 3 supporter shields. So for those who care about the league in a traditional format, winning the league, 3 supporter shields, and we've had a bunch of famous players come through the system. I mean, not the system, but through the club. The biggest one being Thierry Henry. So if you're an Arsenal fan, Thierry Henry, got a little connection there. And we also have Tim Cahill and Juan Pablo Angel as well, and Rafa Marquez, who came over from Barcelona, and then he moved on to he's the Mexican national team, and he moved on to various other clubs. And there you go.
Henri played for the Red Bulls, did he, for a while?
He sure did.
Was that after Barcelona or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, after Barcelona.
Okay. I sort of remember him going. Did he do well?
He did very well, yes.
Did he? Okay. What about three celebrity fans that the Red Bulls have? Can you name those?
So the ones I found real quick were John Wall, who's a point guard in the NBA, Tyson Beckford. I believe he's a singer and a model. And Russell Simmons has also attended various games in the suites. I don't know if he's a super fan or not, but he has been in matches. So there you
Never
go.
heard of them. Okay.
Russell
Russell Simmons
Simmons is
is-
a huge hip hop mogul. Started Def Jam Records back in the 80s.
Oh, did
That's
he?
correct.
Okay.
Def Jam's Records is a record company. that- I don't know if they got it over in England or not.
No,
Yeah. No. They have his music, just not him.
they have his music. Right now. Okay.
Yeah.
So the last thing is do they serve Red Bull at the ground?
They sure do. Various flavors, mind
They
you.
do. They do.
Yes.
Okay.
And you can probably get it mixed
And,
with some Pepsi as well, if you want to.
And you'll
or
notice that
alcohol.
this is going to become a perennial question. Is it legal to smoke cannabis in New York?
It's not exactly in Jersey, and they recently, I believe, had legalized marijuana, or very close to being done.
So at the moment, I could go and sit and have a spliff at Toronto, but I couldn't have one in New York. Is that what we're saying?
Mhm.
Well, technically, New Jersey,
Okay,
to be
right.
fair.
But
Okay,
Sean, you also got to remember
sorry,
that they
I've
are.
got to take all of this into account, Mike. Yeah, go on.
But Sean, they're a team named the New York Red Bulls, but they don't actually play anywhere in New York. They play in New Jersey.
Ah,
So
Oh, well,
you
that's
wouldn't be
my
going,
point.
and you wouldn't even be going to.
is
New
that
York.
a bit like
Go
a
to
team that
Harrison,
was
New
founded
Jersey.
in South London and moved to North London somewhere? in
It's a
there?
different
and those-
state.
Different states.
It's a different state. It's a
Okay.
completely different state.
But
Right.
also, I will say, let me just add to it. If you want to get to a Rebels game, you have 3 airports to choose from coming from England. Okay, not just one.
No,
Oh,
it's just 2. Don't go to LaGuardia.
You can't go to
Yeah, don't do
LaGuardia, and you
LaGuardia.
still have to catch a train to another train to a bus to the city
Hey, you-
subway to get there, and then
Hey,
walk through
hey,
the middle of the hood.
Hey, look, it's not the hood. I'm from there, right? Don't be hating. It's Ironbound. Different story. All right.
Mhm.
Look, you just have to catch 4 trains, 2 cars, and a bus. It's not that difficult, and walk 6 miles.
Well, to be
Where are you going?
Really, only about a
Into
7-hour
a
journey.
completely different state.
You know, true New Yorkers don't complain about it. So
Mhm.
So is that a
Alright.
bit like Stoke playing in Coventry or something along those lines? Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
you have a
It's a
team that's
drive.
named.
That doesn't sound right to me. Okay. Right. Okay.
They're the
fine.
only team that is named after. They're the only team that we're going to talk about that is named after a place where they don't actually play. They play in a completely different state.
Okay. So everyone else is kosher, are they? They all play in
Well,
the state.
if Philadelphia plays outside of Philadelphia,
Carlisle, isn't it Carlisle?
no, it's
we
Chester.
play.
But
Chester.
it's right south of Philadelphia. It's not like they've, Orlando City plays in Orlando, DC plays in DC. Columbus
Columbus
plays
still plays in Columbus.
Columbus.
We'll talk about that.
Atlanta plays in Atlanta. New York plays in New Jersey.
But yes, Sean, to
Oh, wow.
reemphasize, you can definitely have a marijuana cigarette up in Canada. You can't have one in New Jersey, just to be blunt.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
Damn.
Exactly.
Los and Schrodinger.
Okay, yeah,
with the-
I know who's leading. How many have we had? How many more pitches are there?
well, we have to get through it. 4 more.
Oh, just real quick,
Oh.
just marijuana is legal in New Jersey as of like about a few months ago. So yes, it is.
Yeah, but the team is named is named New York.
But they're in play in Jersey. So if he goes to
Oh!
New
But you
Jersey,
can
but-
only have one of the 2.
Ah.
You can either say your
Okay.
team name is wrong, or you can say that you can smoke weed at
the
the
team
ground.
name is
Or you
wrong.
can go ahead and smoke weed and say it doesn't matter.
Did you
Pretty
tell them what the
much.
original name of your team was, Rob?
I sure did. The New York, New
Okay.
Jersey Metro Stars.
They should have just kept that.
Look.
Yeah,
in the chance that we have in the supporter section, we do reference the Metro Stars chance as well. So it
They
is still
sold out.
alive.
Money.
They
Under
should
the
just kept the
almighty Red
mouthful.
Bull.
New
Money,
York,
money.
New Jersey.
All right, so we
if
want to
we're-
thank
if we're-
Mike.
If we're about halfway through, could I ask for a 2-minute interval whilst I go and put my cup of tea on?
Yeah,
And then-
because I was going to ask Los about his thoughts. We didn't really get to talk about this, so go ahead, Sean. Well, we asked Los about his thoughts
Oh
on
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
the the Tottenham, let's just call it the week that was for Spurs.
By Mourinho.
By Mourinho, the lack of the loss in the championship. What do you make of Ryan Mason? So give us an update as we take things full
Well, I
swing
mean,
back to England.
Hey, you're dealing on the negative now. What about that win in between? You forgot about the win. We won 2-1. There are only 2 teams from the
ESL that won.
6 that went to. We're going to go to the Super League, Big League, Super 12, whatever, and only 2 of them won since that announcement. So.
And Ryan Mason did something that that Jose didn't seem to be able to do, which was to go a goal down and come back and win.
Well, it's the whole playing style of Mourinho is all focused around the defensive mode and quick counterattack. And if you're down by a goal, that's kind of hard to work with. But the EFL final, we had our chances. Lo Celso had a beautiful shot that just maybe an inch or 2 higher, and the keeper doesn't get to it. And we got it was a nice bending curling shot. I don't know if you watched the game. I don't know if you saw the shot, but it was a nice left-footed curling shot that was going in the goal. And had it not been saved, we would have been up 1-0 at that point. Of course, that means Lo Celso would have lived on forever in Tottenham lore, for scoring that goal. But he came up short. We came up short, it's been that kind of year.
So what are your feelings? And I've been asking you this. We started asking you
back in August.
Well, I started asking you when Jose was hired first, how you felt about that hiring, and you were on for it. And I said, he'll burn the house down, but he'll try and get you to a trophy. Well, he burnt the house down, but he didn't quite win a trophy. How do you reflect on the...
I don't know that he burned the house down. He left a lot of people happy when he left. So they weren't all down in the doldrums because of his the fact that he was gone. So I think there's a good positive mentality. I think Ryan Mason is I guess a breath of fresh air, for lack of a better term. We had our chances on Sunday. He just couldn't put it together.
So Rob, while I got you here, we know one man for sure who will not be managing Spurs next season, and that's Julian Nagelsmann. What do you make of his move from RB Leipzig to Bayern Munich?
I'm a little bit scared, honestly, because I think he's a little bit young, and the personalities in Bayern Munich, aka FC Hollywood, are very, very, very large egos. And I'm afraid that Neuer, Lewandowski, and Muller are going to chew him up and spit him out. It's a really tough place to manage because there's a ton of egos, a lot of stars, and Julius Nagelsmann has never been in a club where he has had stars. He has made stars per se. You can make a case for that. He has made a player like Upamecano. He has helped Tyler Adams become much better ever since he has moved for New York Red Bulls. But this is a different animal. It's not made for everyone. Hansi Flick had something special when he came over to Bayern, and being the assistant coach over for the German national team, he got to know a lot of these players, and Muller and Neuer and others respected him for it. And Nagelsmann's not going to have that. And he's a young coach. He just hasn't been in the game or with a big club in his career yet. And he's really good tactically, but he had to sell those. So it's going to be a mystery to me. And at the same time, one of the criticisms of Hansi Flick was that Bayern didn't spend money to get some reinforcements after the record-setting year. And now Bayern are more than willing to pay potentially 20 million euros to buy Nagelsmann out of his Leipzig contract. So that's not going to go well necessarily with some of the fan base. So I'm a little bit worried. I like Nagelsmann as the coach. I just don't know if he's going to be a perfect fit for Bayern. And, it's going to be a really tough road for him. He's going to have to grow up really, really quickly.
All right. Well, I want to thank you, Rob and Los and El Gato, for coming on and playing a little bit of MLS speed dating with us. So we've got another round coming up, and for this
Sure,
round,
everybody.
we are joined by British Will, Coach G, and Coach Matt. And of course, I still have to pitch my team. So I'll start because Matt, Chelsea Mike stole mine. I would have normally done the Philadelphia Union, and because I actually own the season tickets that he used, I had all rights to do it.
Hmm.
But, because I'm the host and I'm being magnanimous, I gave him the Union, and I decided to pick another team that I've had the good fortune of actually working with before. And I chose Atlanta United, who are a relatively new team. This is only their fourth season in MLS. First and foremost, they're a really good outfit. I've had the pleasure of working with them with their communication shop. They've gotten me some press passes before, and they're just a really very friendly team to work with. And that spills over. They do things and that's an organization-wide thing. They do things the right way. It starts with their owner, Arthur Blank. You might know him. He founded and owns Home Depot. When he got the franchise, when he got the blessing to create the franchise, he proved to be what you wanted in an owner. I'm going to give you money, and I'm going to get out of your way, and I'm going to hire people to do their job, and I'm going to give them the money and the resources that they need to do their job, and then I'm going to get out of their way and let them win. And that's what they did. He hired U.S. legend Carlos Bocanegra as his general manager. And Bocanegra said, you know who I want to manage the team? Tato Martino, the former Barca manager. So he brought him in, and he gave him all the money that he needed to build, that he could, to build a team. And as a result, they had one of the most successful first seasons of any franchise in MLS history. And they went on to win MLS Cup in their second season. So when you ask me what they have won, remember, they've won 2 major trophies, and they've only existed for 4 years.
MLS Cup, what's that?
That's the MLS Championship.
Right. What's
That's
the
the
other
winner.
one? What's the supporters thing that you said?
So
What's
the
that?
Supporters Shield is the best record in the league during the regular season. They finished second, and then they won the playoffs to win the title, the trophy, the big trophy, the big, what looks like our version of an European Cup over here.
Okay.
So they've won
So-
2, but they've won 2 major trophies in 4 years.
Right.
Which is
So how
pretty
many
good.
major trophies are there that you can win in a season in total?
3.
3. What's the third?
The U.S. Open Cup, which is our version of the FA Cup.
Yeah.
The Supporter Shield, which goes to the team that has the best record in MLS.
Yeah.
And as Will says, the League Cup, which is the MLS Cup. But that's the teams, that's when you complained about how there are 27 teams and
Yeah.
29 of them get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Whoever wins the playoffs gets the MLS Cup.
Right. Okay. I think
That used to
so,
be the
okay.
original, that was the first trophy. The reason why they put the Supporter Shield or that trophy in was everybody was complaining, well, what do you get if you have the best record in the during the regular season? Because that's how we determine who your grand champion is over here.
Okay.
And say what you will about the Supporter Shield, Atlanta won it on the field. They won it on the field in 2019. They won it on the field. Now, if you choose Atlanta United, the one thing that you will not have to worry about is being the only fan, because they are by far the best supported team in
Okay.
MLS. In fact, drawing over 52,000 fans per game, which dwarfs the next highest, they are the 10th highest supported team in world football on average. And of the 10 single game top draws, you know how many Atlanta United has? All 10. And they have 11 on top of that. So the 11 highest attended single games in MLS history all belong to Atlanta United. And they're all up in the 71,000 fans. Um,
So if there was a North American Super League
mhm.
breakaway, Atlanta
would be in it.
definitely be one of the
They are
signings.
considered to be the most, as of this year, they are considered to be the most valuable club in
Okay,
MLS, right? So
okay. That's all pretty
they,
impressive.
like your beloved Arsenal, they wear red, except they wear red and black. And their
I like the
jerseys
logo.
look,
I definitely
their
like the
jerseys look-
logo.
and it's reminiscent of Atlanta's history as a railroad town. And that's where they get that. And it was a fan vote that came up with this. So you wanted to know celebrity fans. I
Yeah.
could give you a whole bunch
Can
of
you name me 3 celebrity fans? Yeah. Sorry?
Well, you've watched a bit of boxing in your day, so I'm sure you've heard of Evander Holyfield.
Yes, I know him.
Evander Holyfield. I'm sure you've watched a couple of movies.
Yeah.
So you know who Samuel L. Jackson and Ron Howard are.
So I thought Samuel was a Gooner. He's also Atlanta, is he?
Yeah, he's from Atlanta.
He's from
And
Atlanta.
Ron Howard. Maybe you
Ron
watched a little
Howard?
basketball.
What? As
Ron
in
Howard.
Bond? Okay.
Toby.
Oh, and how about Edgar Davids?
Ah, okay, that's impressive. That's by far the most impressive celeb list so far, without a doubt.
Now, the one I will give you a couple of drawbacks. Number one,
Yeah.
they do play on artificial turf.
Do they?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because they play in a dome.
Mm.
Ah, okay.
So they do play on artificial turf. They play in a dome, which makes it nice because Atlanta can be rather hot and muggy in the summer, right?
So they're a bit like the QPR of the MLS league, then are they? Or the Luton Town of the MLS?
But again, going back to what Arthur Blank said, you know, a lot of criticism was that a lot of MLS teams played on stadiums that were originally designed for American football. He did say when he built the stadium, he was going to set it up because they share a stadium with the Atlanta Falcons, the NFL team.
Yeah.
But he also purpose-built the stadium to house the MLS club so they can retract seats when they need to so that you can have actual adequate sight lines for soccer. So there's a purpose-built with the stadium for soccer. And he also swore that there would never, ever be NFL grid lines on the soccer field when they were playing a soccer game. So you never have to compete. And so it also takes out the threat of, like, you know, Los was pitch in Orlando. It gets hot in Orlando. Who wants to see a day game in Orlando? You can go and sit in a nice climate controlled building where it's going to be 72 with no humidity. And I know, you know, Atlanta is not known for its hot dogs, but you know what it is known for?
What?
Fried chicken.
Fried chicken. Okay.
Fried
That
chicken.
sounds good.
You don't go to Atlanta to get a hot dog. You go down there to get fried chicken and soul foods. So forget the how the hot dogs are. Even if you go for the cheap stuff and you get Chick-fil-A, you still
Yeah.
get good fried chicken. And yes, they have plenty of beer and it is good.
What percentage?
Whatever percentage you want it to be.
Oh, really? Okay. There's a choice.
Plenty of IPAs and the craft brew scene down in Atlanta is growing fast.
Yeah, the only
I hate
thing
to
that's
admit
slightly
it,
putting me off
but
is
that's
I'm
true.
looking at a picture of Arthur Blank, and he looks as though he's a character out of The Godfather. So,
He does. He
is
may be.
is this money legal that he's used to?
Oh
build
yes,
the stadium?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I'm not gonna lie.
I
his
don't
politics-
know. No.
His politics and mine might diverge a little bit. Georgia is a red state, although Atlanta is very, very blue, and he is a big time friend of Trump.
Didn't
Is it?
Atlanta turn Georgia
I don't know
blue?
how that's, huh?
Didn't Atlanta turn Georgia blue?
Atlanta turned Georgia blue in this one, and I don't know how you feel about that, but if your politics bend in that downward direction, he is a friend of Donald.
Okay.
So that is my pitch for Atlanta United.
Thank you.
All right, so moving right along.
And in good fashion, yours was 6 minutes 32 seconds, Mike.
Yes, but I also answered all your questions without you having to answer.
You
Ask
did.
them.
You did. You did. You
So I
did.
used all of my time to answer all the questions in this pitch. All right. And
You
besides which, I'm
presidential
the host.
debated it, is what you did.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. but I've also been here long enough to know what's going on. All right.
It's true.
So the
This
deal
game.
is, you guys, and since when have we ever stayed on time or done anything the way that it was designed? This is the Too Many Guys Soccer Show. We make it up as we go along. So you guys know the rules. You guys got a couple of minutes to pitch your team. Sean's going to ask you some questions. Since you are a new group, you don't actually know what the questions are, and I'm not going to let him tell you to make it more fun for me. So, British Will, how goes it, my fine friend?
No, I had to drag a dead cow out of the stream earlier today, and that was the
Why
high
did
point
you
of
have
my
to do?
day.
Why did you have to do that?
Because it's something that had to be done. I'm helping out on a farm,
Oh, you're helping out on the farm.
and this is where they send the animals to the farm.
Who
Obviously,
killed the cow?
I think
You
it
know,
just
have you
died.
found a culprit?
I mean, it looked a bit lame to me over the weekend, and it ended up dead in a stream. So I had assumed that it got into the stream, couldn't get out, and died, which is very unfortunate for the cow,
Mhm. Also for the stream.
and for the stream, and for me, because it smelled poor.
So, on to bigger and better things, and that doesn't mean Liverpool right now. Tell us about the Columbus Crew.
Oh,
Yes. So, okay, look, you're a discerning football fan, and as you know, in different countries, things are called different things. So in America, it's called soccer, which we can all have our opinions about. We can say it's right or wrong, but in the country that it is called soccer. So, when you're in the country, it's kind of respectful to say that it's soccer. And Columbus Crew is not Columbus Crew FC. It holds true to its American roots, and it's Columbus Crew SC, Columbus Crew Soccer Club. So you can tell this is an American team. And however you might feel about that, it is American. It's in America. It should be SC. It's not trying to do any of those fancy, pretentious European things. It is American.
Will, I'll just
Yeah.
stop you there. Have they not stolen Borussia Dortmund's logo?
Very slightly, but as you can see, it's American. Is it infringing on the patent a little bit? Maybe. But does it need a little bit more freedom? Probably. So it's Germany.
It's not German beer. I don't mind.
No, America helped out in a couple world wars, so America can take it. I mean, there aren't very many reasons to visit Ohio, and Columbus Crew is one of the two reasons I can think of.
Okay.
Ohio is kind of not great, but the Columbus Crew is pretty brilliant. I mean, how many teams can you really honestly say that the dick is out of the box and that they are really desperate right now, so they're throwing everything, including the kitchen sink, at it? Because Eric Dick is the goalkeeper for the Columbus Crew, and Perry Kitchen is a defender on the team. So that is something that you can legitimately say in commentary about the Columbus Crew. Additionally, they are currently quite successful. They are currently in the semi-finals of the CONCACAF Champions League. So you know how they were talking about some trophies? They're currently in the semi-finals of the CONCACAF Champions League, having beaten Real Esteli 5-0 on aggregate. So they're through and they're facing Monterrey FC. So it's going to be a pretty interesting game, I can say, because I have watched one Monterrey FC game in my entire life, and that was against Liverpool, which Liverpool won. Wasn't that interesting? But, you can say, oh yeah, but I don't know, how about the fan culture in Columbus? How about that fan culture? And really, it's going to really impress you, because you're an Arsenal fan, so you know about some passionate fans out there. The Columbus fans, extremely passionate. In 2017, their owners decided, oh, I don't like Columbus anymore. They're not letting me build a new stadium. So how about we move to Austin, Texas? fuck off, Texas. No, thank you. We're in Columbus now. So the fans banded together and it almost got international. I think it even did get international at one point. And they said, yeah, okay, we're going to keep the fans here. The fans are going to buy the team. And they were bought by the owners of the Cleveland Browns. Honestly, don't know anything about them. They might be good. They might be bad. I have no clue about the Cleveland Browns. I see that G is laughing at them. So they're probably kind of brown. And, you know, you want to talk about current success? They're the current MLS Cup champions. They are the current title holders. So that's a bit of success for you right there. That's my pitch. I hope it was in under 2 minutes.
2 minutes, 19 seconds. So well done.
Wasn't quite, but
Wasn't
better than
quite,
mine.
but you're nearly there. So a couple of questions for you then. Sorry, how old did you say they are? How old's the team? When were they formed?
They were formed when the Eastern Conference was formed. I believe that was 1990. So they're relatively old.
Oh, okay. That's quite old in American, in soccer MLS terms, isn't it? Okay.
I believe they're
Can
one of the
you,
original clubs.
They were a founding member, yes.
A
Yeah,
founding member.
they're one of the original teams.
Okay, so you're saying that they didn't move to Austin, Texas. They stayed firm.
Oh, they stayed.
They stayed firm. Yeah.
They stayed
Okay.
firm.
So first question is, are you allowed to smoke cannabis legally in the ground?
Not legally, but it
No,
is
not
Columbus,
legally, but it
Ohio.
happens.
So who the fuck cares?
Who the fuck cares? Okay. Can
It's
you
decriminalized.
name me three relatively well-known players? I know you've mentioned Mr. Dick and Mr. Kitchen, but can you mention any other players of any note that may have worn the colours?
Jesse Zardes is one of
Who?
the players, the American Jesse Zardes, a
Okay.
former UMD player, I might add. Bradley Wright Phillips is also on their roster.
Ah,
And realistically, those are the only two names that you really need to know, because
okay.
while they do have a person called Awful, they are not awful themselves. They are the current title holders.
Okay. And how would you rate their hot dogs and beer inside?
Well,
the
their
stadium?
beer is actually pretty fantastic. One thing that I will say, the second good thing about Columbus is they have one of the best breweries in America, probably the best brewery in my mind. It's the Great Lakes Brewery, and I would say that their beer is probably a 9 out of 10 on my scale, and
Okay.
that's
okay.
pretty good for me. I
Anyone
really
else
enjoy it. You can get anything from a low percentage, about 4, all the way up to the really good stuff, which is about 12.
Oh, very nice. Okay, I like the sound of that. And can you name me 3 celebrity fans that I've
definitely
that I've heard
not.
of?
Definitely not. That is something that you're asking, first of all, the wrong person. And secondly, they're an MLS team. They shouldn't have celebrity fans.
Okay. Well, they sort of should, because it's soccer. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
but it's
they're allowed to
American
have-
soccer.
And the last question I'm going to ask you is, can you sing their most famous song?
I could, but it would be assaulting you through the microphone, because my singing voice is not very good, as Mike can attest.
Okay, well, you
I'll
might
let you off
get
the hook.
through to the final, so you might have to do that one, even
So
if you're
I'll prepare it for
Yeah.
you. You'll see me rehearsing, warming up, lubricating
Warming up.
my
Okay.
throat.
Well, we've already had one chance, so that which was quite good. I
Mhm.
thought. So yeah, thank you very
So,
much.
All right, I'm going to save the local club for us for last. So that means, G, you are up with, I believe, Houston.
Yeah, I think Will said something about a Texas comment or something about that. I'm gonna let that kind of slide a little bit. So, yeah, so great thing about Houston, a couple of our owners, some famous. I know you're a very betting man, sir. So James Harden, a very famous basketball player's part owner. So I know you like to gamble, as well as boxing Oscar De La Hoya, another
is he?
famous, another famous kind of owner.
Yeah.
So right there, you're kind of a gambling man. So you have some real strong connections with some of the owners. They've been around for at least 30 years. In 2006 and 2007, back-to-back MLS champions. So Mike talked about a huge stadium with 71,000. Well, I would say if Houston also had a stadium that size at that time, they would also probably sell about 100 and 150,000. It's Texas. Everything is bigger in Texas. So when you talk about the hot dogs, bigger than your head. You talk about the marijuana, probably not. But if you can think about it, probably doobies bigger than your head as well. So think about that. But probably in Texas, probably not gonna happen.
Okay.
Right now we are in a kind of rebuilding year. We have 1 win and 1 loss so far. We came out pretty well against the San Jose Earthquakes. It used to be the Tampa Bay Mutiny at one time, I believe, that shifted over there, and they suck ever since. After that, but we lost against the Timbers, was their home opener, and Timbers is kind of a solid team. Mike talks about Atlanta being for 4 years, but Portland in the northwest corner of the United States has been a hotbed of soccer for several decades. Shoot, probably 50, 60, 70 years old. So far right now, we got Tim Parker. We just acquired him from the New York Red Bull. So screw the Red Bull, screw everything New York. They are just a bunch of weird people. No, New York. They're not really fancy with their name. They're not creative. New York. Come on, crap. Columbus, after Christopher Columbus. I can talk about the genocide he did. Atlanta, whatever. Won't go with that one. Some new faces right now. You're always interested with who's coming around. So we have some new faces. Joe Corona, we have Derek Jones, and Maxi Urruti is a forward right now. He's got 1 goal from Argentina. He's a young buck. He's looking pretty good right now. Of all openers, Houston is, I think, 8-2-5. I think they have the 2nd highest all-time season openers right now. Some famous people that you might have heard of. I don't know, Brad Davis, maybe DeMarcus Beasley, Brian Chin, just to name a couple. Throw it out there. And their favorite color is orange. Being from England, we have William of Orange. We have the Glorious Revolution. We have all of that kind of history if you ever want to take it back. So there's a strong connection between you, Sean, some betting aspects of your personal life, a strong connection of your color of the country, a very famous ruler at one time, and a very bloodless revolution takeover. More or less, he said, hey, this is your crown, this is your throne. If you want it, it is all yours. So a lot of great things heading right now. Texas, bigger, better things. If you want a 1 pound steak, we'll give you 10 pound steak. Beer, if you want 5%, we'll give you 50%. Whatever you want, it's bigger and better at Texas. So I think Dynamo is right up your alley, and I don't know anyone else on the team. So if I probably mispronounce any of those people, because I have no idea. I'm kind of the Will. They have a song that they chant, yeah, yeah, USA. I have no idea. So I won't sing anything. But besides that, I think Houston is the way to go right now, my friend.
Okay, and is this your team, G?
Yes, sir. This is going to be my local new team. I'll be moving a little bit more west in the summertime, so I'll be closer to Houston. So no more Orlando or Miami. So I'm out of here.
Okay, so the other thing that slightly is pointing me towards shortlisting your team is that it shares half the name of my favourite team in the Belarusian league as well. So that is definitely that's definitely a plus.
Love to hear that.
The fact you've got some orange in there means that you've obviously got links with Holland.
I love it.
Makes
the Dutch.
Dennis Van Bergkamp and
There we go.
Dennis Bergkamp and Robin van Persie is what I meant to say. Without forgetting Mark Overmars, obviously.
Yep. Love it.
So a couple of other questions. Do they play in short sleeve or long sleeve shirts?
It's up to player choice. But it's up to some of the Argentinians right now. It's their winter, but up here it's either summer, so they might be wearing short sleeve. There might be Canadians that might be vice versa. It's up to personal preference. I'm a kind of a longer sleeve kind of guy just because I'm goalie, but it's up to their players. But I see a lot more of them with long sleeve, to believe it or not. It's Houston, but whatever. Here in Florida, the students wear hoodies. They're in summertime. I don't know. It's personal preference. I don't know.
And I can see that they're an all orange strip. Is that right? So both shirt and shorts orange.
If they're feeling sexy, yeah.
Do they wear orange boots as well?
Some do, not all. It's personal preference. It's about the sponsorship. They might be Adidas or Nike. It's all about if they're allowed to. But you know, if they're feeling a certain kind of vibe, they might go all orange kit, orange on orange on orange on orange, kind of that William of Orange, you know, kind of tell kind of thing. You know, but it's all personal preference. I've seen the black and the orange, kind of the Halloween theme. I've seen that before. It's quite breathtaking sometimes in the winter. I'm sorry, in the fall time. But it's all about personal preference. You know, it's definitely a sight to see every game. It keeps you on your toes. We don't know what kind of kids are coming out. It's one thing that kind of pulls me to them. It's just the spontaneity of the team.
Okay. I haven't asked anyone this question, but I should ask. Do you do the same in MLS as you do in NFL? Are there cheerleaders? Are there
No.
the girlies go out?
Unfortunately, no, not like Crystal Palace or anything like that. I would love to have more cheerleaders on the sidelines. You know, I think it's a little pull, a little bit more family activity, you know, kind of bring the whole family around. Houston's such a great family place. You know, you talk about your family. It's a great time to vacation if you ever want to go down there, you know, enjoy the good food and whatnot. It's a good place to buy some season tickets if you ever want to, you know, root for a team.
All I can say is don't
who
go
is
for
the
a
dreaded
vacation in
enemy?
Columbus.
Who is there like an Arsenal Tottenham hatred with Houston or
Kansas City. I would say
Kansas?
Kansas. Yeah, Kansas
Isn't that
City.
miles away?
What about FC Dallas?
It's a newer rivalry. I'm talking about the long. You know, they've been around for a couple decades. So local, yeah, the guy win that state of Texas crown, but you know, for a long time, it's been you know, far away.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Very,
You're welcome.
very,
Anytime.
very appealing. Very
You know,
appealing.
if you want to, I can send you a video on YouTube and stuff like that to really kind of sell them to you. So let me know,
Okay.
man.
Okay.
My
All right.
heart's your heart. You know, anything you want, man.
And last but not least, in this round, the final team that we have, the local team for us in the Maryland area, from where our podcast originates, DC United.
DC United.
I know DC United.
Sean,
You know why I know DC United.
Sean, this is the team for you. Okay.
Is it?
All these other people have pitched you, you know, all these new amazing things, but this team is going to be near and dear to your heart. You want to know why? Because this
Cool.
team is just like Arsenal. Okay.
Isn't it?
This
Isn't
team, yes, this team has a ton of early success. Okay. They were the first champions of MLS. They won the first team to win back-to-back titles in MLS. They actually won 3 of the first titles in MLS. Then they won another title in 2004, and they haven't won one since.
Ah,
Yeah. Yes.
that
So-
rings a bell.
Yes, there you go. You're understanding now. Now, DC United has gone through a lot of changes, ups and downs. We just fired well, not just fired, but last year we had a long-term, you know, former player that turned into a coach. Had been here for almost 10 years. In Ben Olsen, he left, and we have now the youngest coach in all of MLS. And he is from a club which has an amazing name called Beerschot. And how can you not support a team from Belgium called Beerschot?
I know Beerschot. Yeah.
Yep. So he was a player there, was coaching them, got them promoted. They were doing really well. Actually had him at one point at second in the table. And then they eventually finished around 10th, but you know, DC United thought that he did a great job, that they're going to hire him. Another great thing about DC United is that they have actually strong connections to the EPL. As you know, Rooney definitely played here, but just also British League in general. 2 of their majority owners actually are the co-owners of Swansea. And something that most people don't know, and I can give you because of this connection, is that Swansea has been actually trying to partner their academy with DC United's academy as well. So there is trying to be a relationship, you know, with local football in England and in DC locally.
Well, it's in Wales.
And-
actually, Matt, so-
Yes, I know, in Wales. Yes, you're correct. But EPL teams, BPL, if you're going to do it that way. Also, too, I have personal connections to the players. So Bill Hamid, who is their star goalkeeper, I went to high school with him. And there is another guy who also went to my high school that plays with them. So the great thing about DC United is that they develop players locally, and then they play them through their team. So that's something that you obviously have a great connection to with Arsenal. And obviously, it's something that's got to be really important for you. And
Did you manage to get the job of Wayne Rooney's butler whilst he was playing?
I wish I did. Unfortunately, I did not. Gee, I can't
I
hear
have
you.
I have a picture of his backpack.
Yeah, I mean, he used to come to Montgomery Mall all the time, Rooney. And unfortunately, he didn't really like the area that much. But you're not in the area, so you get to support, DC United from your humble abode, from where you are. DC United is the second most successful team in MLS still, despite having its trials and tribulations. The most successful is LA Galaxy.
Is it?
And that just recently happened. DC United was the most successful for a very, very long time. They have, I think, 6 players in the all-time, I think it's the all-time MLS team. 2 of them are Bolivian, which is near and dear to my heart. In fact, they have such a connection to Bolivian culture that the actual first supporters group was a Bolivian group called the Barra Brava, who've actually now incorporated El Salvadorian teams. And the cool thing about DC United is a lot of their chants are in half Spanish and in half English. And that's a great way to learn the language, if you're asking me.
Well, I will be asking you because you'll be singing the song before the end of the show. So
yes, I can sing it right now for you. Vamos, DC United. We had to win tonight. Vamos United. It's around that time like that. I know he's probably cutting out, but you're clapping. There's a lot of beats. We bring giant drums to the games. That's great for England too. We don't have a horn section yet, but you can bring that. That's an English thing. You can bring that to our teams. I honestly think that you just should really connect with DC United.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I did Stead proud.
A few questions for you. Firstly, why is the logo so shit? That's terrible.
So
it's absolutely.
Okay. So our logo is shit because we have to incorporate. Look at Stead. Look at Stead. Okay, I can stay where you are. Okay.
Well, that looks better. So that looks better than it does.
That's our new logo. That's our logo. It's since I think 2016.
Okay.
It's our logo. Stand up, Stead. Okay. So the 3 stars.
Is that a Tottenham Cottrell on there?
No. See, we're really into the American eagle in the United States.
Okay.
The bald eagle. So, and then the incorporation of the red stripes and the 3 stars that has to do with the DC flag. So they not only are they incorporating national, mascots, they're incorporating local. So we're just bringing everybody together in DC United. Honestly, DC might become a state.
What's the capacity? The stadium capacity?
The capacity is around, so we just moved to a brand new soccer specific stadium. So we're not using some football team stadium. It's soccer specific. It's real grass. So it's not this fake thing that you'll get from, Atlanta United. I'm sorry, Mike. So it's real grass and it's Audi. It was actually built by Audi. So it's Audi Field. It has about 20,000 people, but the stadium's packed every night. We used to play at this field called RFK, which is Robert Kennedy Field. It was a very, very old stadium. And it was actually, quite frankly, during our tough years, it was kind of embarrassing looking at empty seats. But now that we've built a new stadium, it's in the heart of DC. We've re-energized the fans. It's a brand new stadium, so when we score, we get the lights flash and everything. It's pretty great.
It's also but Sean, I know where your next 2 questions are going, and if you're going to ask about beer and pot, that is the most dangerous thing to ever have in that stadium, simply because that is the steepest stadium.
Okay.
Ever built.
Hold on. Okay, look, we went to that game on my birthday. The game started at 7:00. I met up with Mike that day at about 11:00 in the morning. So needless to say, the steep nature of the stadium was probably a bit accentuated by the day that we had prior to
But
watching
no,
the
I'm
game.
sorry. That
But-
stadium was still.
Okay.
We walked.
I-
I felt like I was walking up. I was climbing Mount Everest to get to the second deck. Then when
Okay.
I did get there, I ended up sitting on the guy in front of me shoulders because that's where my
You know,
seats were.
Of course,
I
the whole
thought I was
time-
watching a game at the top of the universe.
yes, but the whole time
All
too,
I'm- all I'm
Mike is
saying is
gripping
this
my
sounds
arm
fun.
like, where are we going?
It was pretty
Honestly,
bad. I
you know what
needed
you're-
steady and
have-
influence to get up there.
Have any
But
of you been to the away end in the Bernabeu Stadium?
no, and it's worse than that because I think at this stadium, the upper deck is built on something like a 27% grade,
Mhm.
which is astronaut, and the supporters section is built on a 28%. So when you
It's a
look
wall.
at this, literally when you're shooting into the supporters
It's quite
section,
intimidating.
it's intimidating because even when you're looking at it from the upper deck of the regular stands, it looks like the people are really quite literally shown on top of each other. It looks like a sheer
But-
wall of supporters.
But the best thing though is you don't have to worry about somebody who's 6'7" sitting in front of you and you can't see
Yeah,
the field anymore.
Exactly.
Mhm.
The seating is fantastic. Like, in
But
terms
if
of
you
view.
have one too many, you are going to fall down and
Oh,
end
I
up
see what
on the
you're
field.
saying.
Instead,
Okay.
hey, but Sean, I'll tell you, if you come over here, I will make sure that you don't have to climb those stairs. I will get
Thank
you
you.
great
Is there a
seat.
lift?
Because he's going to carry you.
No,
Is there
no,
a lift?
you just won't have to. You just won't have to climb that high. I'll just
Oh,
reach
I
out to Bill, and
see.
I'll,
We'll
I'll
be in the
find
post.
out. You know,
Okay, well, Matt, how
Yeah.
come you've never done that for me?
because I still haven't done it yet, and he's going to travel. I don't know.
Wait. So
Stadium's not
anytime
even
you could
open
do
yet.
that,
Mike-
anytime you could do that for me, but you won't do it.
Right,
Sean, yes.
We have to lay out the red carpet for our speed dating here. All right, you're already married to us. All right. At the end of the day, we need to roll
You
this
need to be
out.
kissing up to me.
Sean.
All right, let's wrap this up.
I've
Let's
noticed
wrap
it's
this up.
3:20. Who is who are your biggest rivals?
Our
What's
biggest
the derby?
rivals are
New York
What?
Red Bulls.
New York Red Bulls are our biggest rivals.
Mhm.
And the best thing about New York Red Bulls is you get to troll on them. It's just like Tottenham, like they haven't won an MLS title. And so you just get to troll on them all the time. And they've had players like Thierry Henry.
Mhm.
I don't even
I,
know.
I will say though, but slowly, Philly's becoming a rival. Slowly.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
because it's
yeah,
been,
and that
Just
has-
because
been
it's just because of
3
stadium.
years since 3 years that y'all haven't beat the same team.
it-
That
it's
never
on-
happens.
Yeah,
It's
but I think it's
also-
also due to stadium. It's due to proximity. We're close to Philly.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a natural rivalry between DC people and Philly people. It's just because we're only 2.5 hours away, and that's very close in
And they want to
US.
be us, but they can't.
No,
be
it's
us.
really it's both of us know that we're not
But-
New York. We know we're not New York, so we just like bash on each
Yeah.
other because we're not New York.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
so bad.
and to be complete, yeah, it goes the rival with the
Peaceful
Red
down in
Bulls goes
Houston.
all the way back. Yeah, it goes
And
all the way back.
Have you been
to-
around longer than? Is there a Dallas team?
Yes.
Yeah,
We are-
DC is one of the founding
we-
members of the league.
we're a founding member. We're actually founded by George Soros.
Mhm.
Believe it or not.
Oh, are you? Ah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Man that nearly
And,
brought
and
Brit-
Hey, but
And
remember
I
that
chose
brought Britain
steepness.
to its knees.
Remember
in
that steepness, you'll fall down.
1987.
but it's only 20,000 seat stadium, so you're not gonna fall down. You're not gonna die. You might get hurt, and that's gonna make you feel better.
Hey, break your
It's
arm.
broken
Don't do that.
bones.
You know, that
Stronger.
20,000 seat stadium really reminds me of the Columbus Stadium, the Columbus Crew Stadium. And
Yeah, but your
Catch on
stadium's
fire.
On a
old.
park the
Ours
other
is
day,
brand
every
new.
year.
I'll just
Ours
be
is
honest.
very,
You know,
brand
Mike
new.
was talking about how well supported Atlanta United was. But the Columbus Crew is the most consistently supported team. You know, you can have 50,000 people in a 70,000 person stadium, but Columbus Crew is the team.
But they don't have.
You guys almost
but
told me
they
that you
don't-
don't-
set the
There's pretty good
record for the
people out
most
there.
consistently consecutively supported games in the MLS. And don't even argue with
All
that
right.
because I
Sean,
found
I
it
feel
on
like
the
you have another
All right.
question.
So I presume
Right.
that all of the
Right.
teams that you
We've-
represented.
All right, Sean,
get in the
we've been
playoffs.
at this for about an hour and 20 minutes. So, Mike, what do you think? Should we give him a week to percolate on this, or are we going to demand a decision now?
we can give him a little bit of time to percolate on this decision and get back to us as to who his finalists are, and we'll bring in the top 2, 3, 4 next week in the second half. The second
One of you are
hour.
gonna have to post me the top.
Yeah, and yeah, thank you. And honestly, too, Sean, if you want me to send you, I mean, our last game wasn't great, but
it was bad.
But the one before that, though, we had 2 golazos.
Hey,
okay,
listen,
and they were
just send
fantastic.
Sean the highlight of Wayne Rooney running down and
Yeah.
stealing the
Oh,
ball
that's-
and chipping
Circa
and
2015.
and don't
sending
forget
you
the
this-
player that headed the
Circa-
ball. The player that heads the ball in for that game-winning goal was only 5'3", which is even more impressive.
Yeah.
Right,
about the match?
which is even nice,
And the
but that was
crowd.
the
You'll see the
one
crowd.
highlight that y'all have had.
Don't
in
show the highlight of Wayne
last-
Rooney throwing a forearm into the guy's
Yeah.
neck and getting a red
What
card.
you're not going to talk
Never
about
happened.
is the fact that that was the one highlight that y'all have had in the last.
Hey, we made
10
it. We made
years.
the playoffs. That
Hey,
year because of that.
Mike, we talked about we that was during the run of this show. That was the worst team in the MLS, and then he got here, and then they actually qualified.
Well,
and then
Yeah.
and I think that is one of the things that is interesting.
that was a great.
No.
It was a good story, even though that was one
That's-
of the worst playoff
that's
games I've ever
also
seen
something-
DC United play. I was at
That's
that
also
game.
something I'll
Terrible.
say, Sean, about this team too. So DC United is a founding member, and I could say that like Columbus Crew is Columbus Crew is
See, you
similar.
can't even
in
you can't
the
even say the
sense-
name. You don't want them.
I know, you don't want that. It's Columbus Crew. You know, come on. Ugh. But DC United, like DC is a major city, okay, and
Be
the
honest,
MLS
Columbus is not.
yeah, Columbus is not, but-
Crap, you know.
but the MLS
It's the largest city in Ohio.
the MLS has bent over backwards to support teams like New York and LA, both of them, and given them like the money for transfers for like for LA they have Zlatan, they had Carlos Vela, they have Chicharito in LA, they had Thierry Henry in New York. They
should have never had
David
anyone big
Villa.
like that.
Getting the
They had
biggest
David
player to
Villa.
go to the LA Galaxy.
What?
The biggest player to go to the LA Galaxy.
Bex.
Yeah, back
Yeah.
then. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, yeah.
Sean's
So-
already
so-
said he
And
wants
the
no
other
part of
biggest player
Beckham.
to go to
So
the LA Galaxy.
MLS has
Houston.
bent over backwards to support, those teams.
Mm.
DC, as a founding member was like always, they were the most successful
Were.
team. MLS has kind of refused to basically support them until Rooney. And when Rooney came, it was more like a fine, we'll give you a handout. So everything that DC has to do, it's just under a lot less support. As a major team
Sean.
in a major city, it's kind of like Arsenal as well.
Yeah,
Like
they're
we're just
really
not,
trying
we
to
don't get the
sell.
support.
Wow.
I
You know?
don't know, and this is the
And
final
And
word
I
on
know
DC
G
United.
knows this too.
Matt,
G knows I'm right.
This
this
More.
is the final word on DC United. I don't know how much this is going to count for us. DC United was going to take Mesut Ozil and still might.
Really?
I think it's rumored back and forth all the time, and then he doesn't. And he went to Turkey. But I mean,
So
you take him,
he still may come to Mesut Ozil may still come to DC United.
Ozil
That's
went to
that-
Besiktas.
Yeah, but he still may come to DC United.
Besiktas.
All right, gents.
He may.
So it's been tick tock. Before we go, there's a matter of a game this weekend.
Ooh.
I remember a lot of trash being talked earlier in the season about how, this was going to be the game where Liverpool claimed the title and condemned Manchester United to not finishing in Europe and all that stuff. So, Will, I was wondering what preposterous statement you might be able to come up with tonight in
I
advance
did
of
say
the game.
those words earlier on in the season. I did say it. And I'm going to be honest. I stand by the words that I said last show that I really couldn't give a shit about Liverpool Football Club right now. I mean, I support the players. I love the players. I love the team. I love the sort of atmosphere about this team. But I still can't like wrap my head around giving a shit about Liverpool Football Club right now. And you know, I will still look at the team. I will still look at the game. I will still look at the results, and I'll still be happy about them. But I mean, come on. They don't deserve to be in the top level of the competition. They don't even deserve to be in the competition at all. And their results right now are proving that the players have a lack of emphasis on the game. They've let 2 leads slip since FSG did what FSG did. And you can say that's probably not on FSG, that's not on the decisions of the upper management. But they let a lead slip in the 83rd minute against Leeds or something like that. And then the 90+5 against Newcastle. I mean, that's not Liverpool from what I remember it. And, you know, I have to think that the players are thinking about what the managers, what the owners have said. And they're thinking, this isn't my team anymore. This isn't what I thought the team was. And that's what a lot of long-term fans are saying. And that's what I'm thinking right now. So I'll still support the team. I'll still come out. I'll still batter you Manchester United fans just out of habit. But I couldn't care if they win or lose.
And you know what? I'm going to let that be the final word. We're just going to let that marinate for the week because that's just priceless. So I want to thank everybody for participating in this version of MLS Speed Dating. Hopefully our backhanded way of introducing you to several MLS clubs actually worked. So thank you to Chelsea, Mike, Rob, and Los for joining us earlier, British Will, G, and Coach Matt for coming on now. Sean, I know you've got a lot to ruminate on.
I've got a lot of homework this week.
Plus, there are also all the clubs that we didn't mention. There's one thing that we know for sure, and that is that you will not be supporting San Jose and likely Colorado.
Why won't I be? Why not?
Because they're owned by Kroenke.
I won't be. No, I won't be supporting that.
So those were the only 2 teams that I said that I don't think that you'll be supporting. But that means that there are 25 teams, some of which we pitched, that are still fair game to you. And we'll get back and we will wrap this up next week. Man, this has actually been fun. After last week's show, as heavy as that was, it was good to have a little fun with football and remember why it is that we love this game. So I hope everybody enjoyed it as much as I did. So for Rob, Chelsea, Mike, Los, British Will, Coach G, Coach Matt, London Sean, and of course, as always, producer Stead, who desperately needs a good night's sleep. So we're going to get off real quick and let him go to bed because he just looks like a man who's on his last leg. I'm Mike.
Push-ups, Matt. Do some push-ups.
Yeah, this has been the Too Many Guys Soccer Show. We did all right this week. We'll try and do better next week. Take care.